Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. This is the Pegassi Tempesta, and I'm about to find out if it'll off-road. This is the second most voted for vehicle this week, coming in with a whopping 6 votes. You can vote for the vehicles that you want to see by clicking on the link in the description down below. I currently have the next 3 or 4 weeks worth of vehicles already recorded. So if you don't see the cars you voted for right away, don't worry. They are coming. I keep the list up to date, and there is a fresh set of leaders coming up very soon. Of course, I leave the voting open to you guys just because, well, I prefer to feature the cars that I know that you want to see. So make sure you hit up that voting link. You can vote for whatever vehicle in the game you want. There's a big long list, but at the very bottom of it, there's an other box that allows you to choose any vehicle you want. You just type it in. And you can vote as many times as you want. So there's no limit. It doesn't count or block you or time you out or anything like that. So there's something you really want to see, I just vote for it 40 or 50 times just to make sure it gets to the top of the list and stays there. Somebody voted for one over 100 times one time. Kind of crazy. Anyways, the Tempesta. Fantastic car. Currently, at the time of this recording, the fastest supercar around the circuit, as tested and stated in the gospel according to Bruffy. And it's a damn good car. Does alright off-road. It's not the lightest car, but it is a lightweight supercar. So it bounces around a little bit, so I can't just get full throttle, or else it'll bounce over every little bump and send it flying either into a wall or off into oblivion over the side of the mountain. So I do have to be careful, but we should still get a pretty damn good time out of this car. It is all-wheel drive, which that does help a lot in off-roading, because when the rear wheels want to spin, as I've said many times before, those front wheels are still getting grip usually, so it'll pull the car on up and helps counter any rear wheel spin. The only thing I'm really struggling with this car is that it wants to understeer a little bit around some of the corners. And as you can see there, it does want to get a little bit of air when I'd rather it just kind of stay on the ground for controllability purposes. But nothing that we can't overcome. And as you can see, it's getting a fantastic time. It's going to come in a little over 2.5 minutes, but definitely well under 3. Even with a slight hiccup there on the rocks. I mean, that cost several seconds right there, but it's still going to be a really good time as we climb up the slippery bit here. Not a problem for the Tempesta at all. And we are up 2 minutes, 43 seconds. Will it off-road? Oh, hell yeah. And it did it in a fantastic time. That might be the new lowest time. I'm not sure. I'll have to get the database updated. Which, by the way, I do have a link in the description down below with a list of all the vehicles that I've tested. Though it is a little out of date, I'm going to work right after I record this voiceover. While the video is rendering, I'm going to work on getting that list up to date. Sorry that I haven't been keeping on top of that. It's just something I tend to forget about. It's my bad. Totally my bad. Basically, I don't have somebody reminding me about it. Somebody always comes along in the comments when I forget to post the link for voting. There'll always be somebody that's like, hey, where's the voting link? But very few people ever call me out for the updated times list. So I'll try to do better on that, especially now that I'm once again unemployed and have free time. Yay. So the downhill controlled descent at a lovely sunset, no less. Should be pretty event-free on our controlled descent. Same issue applies going downhill, though, is the light weight of the car. It means it does want to bounce around a bit. So I've just got to watch that speed down. I know the temptation is always just to go as fast as you can, and especially in a supercar. But when you're off-roading and not wanting to plummet off the side of the mountain, at least not yet, well, then you got to keep your speed down. You got to stay on the brakes quite a bit. Thankfully, the Tempesta has fantastic brakes, and as you can see over those jumps, it's very composed. It doesn't nosedive. It's very easy to control midair. Incredibly easy, in fact. It's just a fantastic car. I love the Tempesta. It's on my second character, and I really wish I had room on my first character for one of these cars, so I can buy a second one. But my second character has the Pegassi collection, and my first character collects other cars by Italian manufacturers. Grotty, anybody? Anyway, coming around to the last little bit of dirt here on the trail. Section can catch up a lot of cars because it's just pure dirt and leaves, but it's no problem for the Tempesta. It is just pushing right on through, down, back onto some asphalt, where we should be able to get up a little bit more speed here. Maybe there's tighter turns than they really look. They're a little deceiving, but the Tempesta is back down off of Mount Chiliad. 2 minutes 29 seconds. So, let's take it back to the top of Mount Chiliad and fling it off the side of the mountain to see how much damage this thing takes. Being a fairly new car to the game, as usual, means it won't have the most accurate damage models in the game, which is unfortunate. By the way, I apologize if I sound just a little bit sniffly and stuffed up. It's because I'm a little bit, well, sniffly and stuffed up. Allergies. I have year-round allergies, but they are worse in the summertime. And, well, it's summertime, so that leads to a very nasally Brandon. So, sorry about that. Nothing I can do about it, though. Just take my allergy medicine, and thank God they're not worse. Very composed run from the Tempesta down here. I mean, it's getting bounced around, but it's real easy to get the thing pointed back forward and getting it back on its wheels. Fantastic. Very unlike the next car that we're going to look at. Today is a very Pegassi heavy day. Just kind of worked out that way in the voting that we had 2 Pegassis in one day. And the next one we're going to look at does not do so well over the bumps. This one's doing all right, though, for a supercar. I mean, they're low to the ground and they don't weigh much, so you expect them to get bumped around quite a bit. And that rollover was more my fault than the car's fault. But we are down 1 minute, 23 seconds. Let's take a look at the damage, of which there isn't very much. Most of the windows are gone, and the hood won't close. And that's it. Otherwise, this car is in great shape. But that brings us to the Osiris, which is one of the few cars that I have neons on. You'll have to forgive me for that. But this has the most votes this week, coming in with 7 votes. And then for the next several weeks, we're going to be looking at vehicles with 6 votes each. And I just kind of took them in alphabetical order. So we are off in the Osiris. I really do like the Osiris. A lot of people hate on this car, and there are valid reasons to dislike it, especially for racing situations. And it's also something that comes into play a lot here in off-roading. This car is unbelievably lightweight, which is one of the reasons it does so well in racing situations. But that means anytime there's the slightest little bump, this car gets unsettled by it. So that's something I'm going to have to keep in mind, and it's something that's going to kind of bite us in the ass a few times on not only the ascent, but even on the controlled descent. It's going to come into play several times. This is a car that also likes to roll over quite easily, as we can see right there. I mean, that wasn't that much of a bump that it hit, but it was enough to send the car right on over. So I'm definitely keeping the speed down on this. I don't think we're going to see a sub 3 minute run on the Osiris, just because I have to go much, much slower just to try to keep the wheels on the damn ground. I mean, you can already see back just a few seconds ago, we had some major air where most cars just kind of bump up a little bit. And it is getting thrown all around. A lot of people watch these videos and just think you can't drive. I'll tell you what, take these cars up Mount Chiliad, the exact same one, spec'd out the same way, and see how you do. They're not the easiest to get around in a controlled manner. I mean, if you just want to, you know, gun it and hope for the best, you could do that. But that's not the point of Will It Off-Road. Lost the wanted level from hitting the hiker. I recorded like 8 cars in one day, and I had hit several hikers, so, well, had wanted level several times during that recording session. In fact, I think out of the next several weeks, most of the cars are here on my second character, which is really rare. Really rare. Most of the cars people vote for just wind up being on my first character at GTA. But I am up now to 223 cars at GTA Online, so we have a lot to look at, and that lightweight really bit us in the ass. But that lightweight saves the Osiris right here. Most cars would not have been able to pull that maneuver right there off and get right back up. Their weight would have pulled them down. We had a little bit of wheel spin that started to slip, got off the accelerator to find traction. I was able to just drive up, something that most vehicles would not be able to do. So that was fairly impressive, at least. But it did cost the Osiris a lot of time. See how we do here climbing up the side, and honestly, it's not even an issue. Just right up over the big rocks. We're up 3 minutes, 3 seconds. Will the Osiris off-road? Yeah, not as good as the Tempesta. Not the best time we've seen from a supercar, but it still did all right. So let's take it back down the mountain for a controlled descent, where once again we have to keep in mind that lightweight. And once again, it's a beautiful sunset. I managed to get both these cars recorded about the same time of day. Again, not planned, just kind of worked out that way. Always take it slow up here this first bit, just because it's really narrow, really bumpy. Don't want to have a major fuck up just as soon as we start off. We save those for later on down the mountain. But no, once it opens up and the trail doesn't have as many tight turns, we can get a little bit more speed. You can see this thing is already struggling to keep all 4 wheels on the ground despite how slow I'm going. I mean, we're just crawling along here right now, honestly. Heavy on the brakes because I don't want it to bounce on that little section there, as many lightweight cars do. I am learning from my past mistakes. Another big turn, but right around it without any issue whatsoever. Despite its really short wheelbase, the Osiris can be difficult at speed to get a car around a corner. It understeers really bad. Don't know if the real world equivalent of this car does that. I've never had opportunity to drive a Pagani. I have driven a lot of supercars back from my racetrack days. A lot of the people in my racing club had supercars. They're just like, hey, let's let the poor kid drive one. And so I got to drive lots of supercars. Never, ever got to drive a Pagani, though. It makes me kind of sad because I love Paganis. Which, of course, that's what the Osiris is based off. Pretty much so, the Huayra. Say. Osiris is doing well over the jumps, but when it lands, it bounces all around, as you can see right there. Almost rolled over on me, too. Coming down this last little bit of downhill before we have to go back uphill just a bit. Coming onto the dirt, and this is where the lightweight and Malk are really both going to get in the way. Hit that bump, the back end kicked up, couldn't steer because of it, and flipped the car over, and the tree of many crashes claims its first victim in a long, long time. So we have not been ignoring you on purpose, tree, but I try not to hit you. I think it gets mentioned in every video, though. So, you know, at least it gets mentioned. We're down on the asphalt where this car is much better suited, as long as there's not a curb in your way. And rounding out our controlled descent, the final little turn, we're down 2 minutes, 48 seconds. So let's go right back to the top of Mount Chiliad and once again fling this supercar off the side of the mountain to see what's what. This car came out with, the first part of the Ill-Gotten Gains update, so there are body parts at least that can fall off. As we'll see here in just a second, it is going to shed a significant amount of its body. There it goes. The entire rear clip just gone. I think I'll call it rear engine cover later on, and I'm counting that as the rear lights not working anymore. So I figure if they're not connected to the car, then they're not working. as I struggle to keep this thing on its roof. This car does love to roll over, and once it's there, it doesn't want to get back on its wheels. It was really a struggle every single time this car rolled over to get it back on its wheels. And because of its lightweight, it likes to keep sliding on its roof. And then you probably know if you slide it on your roof, it makes it even harder to get the car to roll over. Usually it's once you're at a dead stop where the car is really easy to flip back over. But if it's moving at all on its roof, it just doesn't want to. And that's going to be an issue here in just a second. Getting thrown all around them. It just has no weight to keep it planted down. And here we go, sliding on the roof for quite a while. I thought we had it here. I start trying to get it turned over, but it just keeps sliding. No matter what I do, this car does not want to flip all the way over for me just because it's still moving. Trying on the throttle, trying on the brakes, hoping that I get wedged on something so that this slide stops. Because, well, it's just kind of annoying to slide in slow motion on your roof. But now that things are getting a little steeper, I think I'm just going to have to ride it out. Still trying to get the car to flip over, though. Just trying to use the terrain to help me. But to no avail. Once it finally stopped, though, finally, the turtle is back on its legs. Coming out of the really bumpy, muddy bit here, right into a pillar. Pro driving right there. Well, this car is going to get bounced around quite a bit. Tiny little car that weighs nothing with those obnoxious neon green lights coming from the bottom. I'm going to take those off. But we are down, hitting the fence. 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Let's take a look at the damage on the Osiris. All the lights are gone. Most of the windows are gone, as well as that rear engine cover. The right door will not close, and those rear wheels are slightly bent. Don't forget to go vote for the vehicles that you want to see featured in Will It Off-Road. And until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.